Hi guys, my name's Wayne Quinton. So if we're going to invest in property, we need to know that we're only going to buy the right property for a family buy-to-let portfolio. How do we do that? We use a proven system known as the 6 C's. Now, as long as we follow the 6 C's exactly, this will ensure that we only ever buy outstanding property. In another video, we'll look at the 4 profit levers in property. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. This system will make sure that we only ever buy property that will have the correct cash flow and capital growth so we can refinance and grow our portfolio. I call it the 6 C's. 6 C's. So what is the first C? Well, the first C is for capacity. By capacity, we need to make sure that we buy-to-let properties that are suitable for families. The property that we're going to need to buy needs to be the right size. Therefore, the capacity we should be buying are 3 to 4 bedroom houses and not 1 and 2 bedroom flats, apartments, and not 1 and 2 bedroom houses. Why is that? Well, first of all, with flats and apartment and anything that's 1 bed, you're going to get transiency. Say somebody moves in and they meet someone else who lives in another 1 bed flat. They decide to move in together. Okay, so the average tenant change for a family let property costs about £1,500 by the time you factor in the void period, paying the letting agency fees, titivating the house, but you can't take off the bond because it needs a bit of touching up. On average, it's £1,500. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it could be 3,000, but on average it's £1,500. And your tenant change once a year, that means over a decade you're going to be spending in the region of £15,000. That's quite a bit. But it's even more when you think if you've got 10 of these, over a decade it's going to be 150,000 because you bought the wrong houses. Okay, so you buy a 2 bedroom house, somebody moves in with 1 child, they get pregnant again now, and they've got 2 children, they need a 3 bed. So you need to be buying 3 or 4 bedroom properties, buying at the right capacity. What's the second C? The second C is for city. What do we mean by city? Let me give you an example. When we buy stocks and shares, for example, if I said to you my strategy on the stock market was I only buy Morrison stocks and shares because I come from Yorkshire and they're based in Yorkshire. By the way, I'm not from Yorkshire, but you get my point. You would literally switch off the webinar and stop listening to me. You'd think this guy's crazy. He doesn't know how to invest. Yet so many people in property events say buy local, buy local. Okay, for me personally, if you're doing a job strategy, so if you're getting into houses of multiple occupation, or you're doing options or rent to rent or holiday let, the job strategy, their strategies where you have to trade extra time to make the strategy work. This might make some extra income in some of the strategies, but you're trading your time for income. Okay, the beauty of family lets, it's an investment strategy, pure investment strategy. When I put my money in stock market, say I was investing in Marks and Spencers, what I'm doing is backing the team, the expert team who are the board of directors at Marks and Spencers. I'm saying that expert team, I believe, are going to outperform the market. Therefore, if I buy stocks and shares, it's going to go up. I don't then decide I need to run it myself and go and turn up at the board of directors meeting. That would be chaos. I don't have to get involved. I back the expert team, and investing in investment properties like family let properties is the same thing. It's crucial that you have an expert team. It's crucial that you invest in the right areas to back the market. And this is where city comes in. You see, I could take you to York and I could say, let's buy a 3 bedroom property in York for about £150,000. It'll rent for £700 a month. You've heard lots of people saying, I've heard York's a nice place. People in York say it's a nice place and it's a cathedral town. I'll buy one there and that sounds great. But you can go to Scarborough and with the same £150,000 you could buy 2 properties for £75,000 each. And each of those properties would rent for about £560 a month. So now you've invested the same amount of money, but I'm getting £1120 a month instead of £700 a month. That's an extra income of £420 a month, or £5,000 of rent per year. Now, and over time, property values in York go up the same as they go up in Scarborough. York's tends to be a year ahead. So if they go up 10% this year, Scarborough will probably go up 10% in the next 12 months. Actually, if York goes down 5% this year, Scarborough will probably go down 5% next year. It's always a year ahead, but over time, they go up the same. So if they're going up the same, I'd rather have more money in rent in the meantime. Okay, so you need to invest in the right cities to get the best possible returns now. I'm not saying go to Scarborough, that's a place to buy. I'm just giving an example. There's even better places to buy, but you need to be buying. You need not to be buying just because it's local on your street or in your local area or local town. You know, for example, Family Let in London, it's popped. It's upside down. You can't get the cash flow, so you need to buy in the right locations. What's the third C? The third C is capital growth. Capital growth, you have to get outstanding capital growth. Now, the national average across the UK for the last 85 years is 7.9% per year. The national average, this includes overdrops, which is pretty cool capital growth. So instead of speculatively investing, so they're going to take a gamble saying, I think they're going to build a train line here, I think we're going to regenerate this area, and then you put your money in the deal and they don't regenerate for 10 years and your money's stuck in the deal. Instead of doing that, by taking a risk, by the time you speculatively invested, the experts did it 6-12 months ago. We're already in the deal. The prices were already inflated. Okay, these guys are absolute experts at this. So instead, how do you make sure you're always going to get great capital growth? Well, if the national average is great, let's make sure we at least get the national average. So there's 4 key parts here for this. Number 1, buying in a town or city with a minimum of 80,000 population. If you buy in a village and the local factory shuts, 100 people lose a job, you've got a problem. So buy in a town or city. Number 2, buy within 5 miles of the town centre, measured by the town hall or train station. 7 miles if it's Manchester, Birmingham or London. Number 3, close to great secondary primary schools. Ofsted needs to be good to outstanding. Make sure it's got great public transport network and great road network. If it ticks these 4 things, so it's a town or a city, close to great secondary school or primary school, great public transport network and great road network, if it ticks those 4 things, you're going to get great capital growth. If it doesn't tick one of those things, you're not. Okay? What's the 4th C? The 4th C, of course, is cash flow. You need to make sure the property is cash flowing really well. And cash flow is not the rent minus the mortgage equals profit. And it's definitely not the rent minus the mortgage on today's cheap rates equals profit. Don't be fooled by people who show you the cash flow figures based on that. So we're planning for cash flow. We need to say, look, here's the rent. What's the mortgage? We don't look at the mortgage on today's bargain cheap rates. We said, you know what? The rates are going to go up over time, so let's look at what the banks are offering on a 5-year deal, because that's pretty confident the rates will stay below that for at least 5 years. Then let's add on another 0.5%. So they're offering 5 years under 4%, say 4.5%. That will cover us for at least 7-8 years of cash flow. Let's model on that. We'll probably pay £100 a month less on a mortgage in reality, but if we model on the higher figure, we know it cash flows, and we've potentially got the £100 as well on top. That's then it's in our pocket, in it. But let's just plan for it. We need to allow for maintenance. We know from managing hundreds and many properties for many years, maintenance costs is £1,000 a year, which means it's about £80 a month that goes into maintenance. We need to put it in. We know insurance. Let's say £20 a month for insurance. It's probably a bit less, but let's plan for £20. Let's plan for letting agency fees. And once we budget for all those things, the money left each month, let's say it's a couple of £100. All those costs, that's then our profit. Then let's make sure that even if the property is empty for the 12th month of the year, if it's rented for 11 months, but it's empty for a whole month, which is not going to happen, but if it was, if there's enough profit in these £200 a month to pay for the rent in the 12th month, of course there is when there's £200 a month of profit, but it's only £50. If it was only £50 a month, it's not. So let's make sure the cash flow is great. By the way, in this particular product that I'm talking about, Cashflow Builder, we make sure that the properties that we're buying have got the traditional sense of an 8% yield. That means compared to the purchase price, the whole year's worth of rent is at least 8%. So if the purchase price was £100,000, the rent would need to be £8,000 a year. £8,000 a year divided by 12 will give us £670 a month. So a £100,000 property, you would need to be getting £670 a month in rent. So we make sure the cash flow is extremely high. It's called Cashflow Builder because it gives you good cash flow while you wait for the houses to go up in value for capital growth. Right, the fifth C. The fifth C is check. What does check? What I mean, we have to check that the property will rent. It's no good having a 3 or 4 bedroom property in a perfect city, close to great schools, for good capital growth. You think that the cash flow is going to be £250 a month, but then you advertise it to rent and only 2 people reply. Because if only 2 people reply, I know none of them may want it, or maybe one of them wants it. You're not picking the tenant now because there's only one person who wants it. Okay, then you have problems and you don't get the great cash flow you thought. So we will advertise the property to rent first. You put it in a local newspaper, you advertise it online, whatever may be done before you buy it. And you look for at least 10 replies minimum, 10 replies in the first week. If you get 10 replies, you kind of go, yes, great, I'm in. You don't get 10 replies, you're walking away, however great the deal is. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. Because there will be there'll be another one in the next street or town or city that's identical to this one, but it's got massive demand. If you've got 20 people interested in the property, 10 people will view it, 5 people might want it, and you can ask for wage slips, guarantors, references, the works. You're going to choose them, and the tenant's not choosing you. The final C, the sixth C, is for contingency. When you invest, you don't put all your money in. If you've got £100,000 to invest, we make sure that out of that £100,000, on average, 4.5% is held back. Okay, that's 4.5%. So out of the £100,000, 95.5 is in play and 4.5 is held back in your rainy bank account. If you invest £1 million, 955 gets invested, 45,000 is held back in your rainy bank account. Why do we do that? Because you will never personally then need to put a penny more into the investment, because you'll always have a contingency there to back the investment. If you plough every single penny in and then something goes wrong, now you've got a problem, because now you're having to put more money in, and now it's not just a pure investment that looks after itself. Our investments are designed to look after themselves. So if we buy properties to those 6 rules, you will always buy outstanding properties, outstanding gifts to yourself that will serve you for years and years and years. If you find this helpful, then hit the like button, please share, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.